So welcome to a new style of video for the channel. We're actually going to be talking about not the tech. So if you're interested in the tech of this vehicle, that video is being linked above. Today we're talking about this interior of the e208, the 2022 refresh. From the perspective of me, who I've been an owner of the e208, which I can promise you looks pretty much identical to what I'm seeing here. For the past year and a bit. So I'm going to go through a bit this interior and tell you my thoughts on what's good, what's bad, what needs work, and all of that. So this is The Future is Electric. So I'd like to point out we're in the GT version of the vehicle, which is the highest trim level. So the interior you're seeing here is only going to come in that GT model. It is an identical match to what I have in the e208 from a year ago or a bit more than that when it was ordered. They have upgraded a few things here and there, which I do like, so I am going to highlight those. Obviously, the first thing you probably notice when you step into the vehicle is the steering wheel. Now, I had, in the 6 months waiting for the car, probably scoured YouTube for every single review out there about the car. And the one thing that always stuck out that you hear the reviewers say is the steering wheel. Why is it so small? And the fact that it might obstruct the screen in front of you. Honestly, the steering wheel is the most comfortable feature, having used the car for a year, probably of the entire vehicle. The fact that it's small makes it so easy to turn. In fact, I can literally move it with my fingertips in the e208. Perhaps it's a bit harder on this e208, bigger tires, of course. But the steering wheel is extremely comfortable. Everything else does feel like a bus that I drive now with a bigger steering wheel, but I think the steering wheel is a great actually feature, and I do love the size. I do have to mount it, so there's the lever somewhere here to bring this, to be able to reposition it. So I have it repositioned quite low, because yes, it will obstruct the screen slightly. So if you want to make sure you're seeing your screen, you do have to keep it low. You do not have the option of like seeing through the steering wheel, so, well, at least for my height. So you do have to keep it quite low, which I really do not mind at all. So we've locked that in place. You've got some buttons here for volume. You've got scroll wheels as well, which operate this screen and also the screen here. You've got the voice assist button, you've got the phone button, so if you want to call someone, you press this and it brings up the contacts over there, and some more buttons to operate the menus over here, horn in the middle, usual indicator, etc., and lights are over there. The trip meter, so if you've seen the fully charged review, which channel I follow, and obviously they inspire me all the time, but you might remember Robert saying he couldn't find how to update the trip meter. Well, the trip meter, Robert, is updated from this button here. It wasn't intuitive, I have to agree there. I did have to look it up to figure it out, but basically it's done from the button here, or the one on this side actually. It's the one on this side. You have to sort of hold it down and toggle through the menus as so. What else? I mean, push to start, of course. Car is on, by the way, at the moment. You might be hearing the AC, but it's too hot to record without the AC. It's like 34 and it's like 10 a.m. So what else? I mean, the screen, obviously this 3D cockpit that Peugeot have come up with, looks amazing. Feels like you're in a jet fighter, to be honest. I mean, it doesn't have any practical use, but it does look cool. The way they're doing it is they have one screen at the back, a piece of glass or perspex or something coming down here. Then there's another screen which you don't actually see, which is at the top. So they have graphics at the back, graphics on that screen above, which are reflected into that glass. And you do get, if you move around, this whole 3D perspective going on, which again is pretty cool. So I do like that quite a bit. Graphics on screen, very nicely laid out. You can toggle the various menus from the scroll wheel here on the left. For everyone else, they're great. For someone who works in like filmmaking and animation and stuff, you might be a bit disappointed because they do feel a bit stuttery and laggy. But for everyone else, for 99% of the population, that's really not going to be an issue. So that's a bit about the screen. You can get your maps up there as well. Besides having them on the center screen, you can have your maps right in the front console over here, which is a nice feature for sure. What else? So nothing's changed from what I'm seeing over here. So you've got what they call your piano wheels, your piano buttons over here. And you know, you've got your recycle button, so if you don't want to die 5 years early, you should always have that on. What else? We've got AC off, which is a nice way like to deactivate the AC. The only time I ever do that is when I get a phone call. Otherwise, AC in this country is definitely always on. AC max is an interesting one. So if you want to boost your AC, if it's really hot, as it always is, and you just want everything on full, rather than going through all the menus and figuring that out, AC max, and it goes to max, and you can get your 5 minutes of cold air till the vehicle cools down. Hazard lights, central locking, the buttons to defog the front and back windows, the windshield and the rear shield, whatever it's called. So I have a bit of a complaint here because and my wife complains about this too, because the second you press it, it boosts the AC because it needs to do that to demist the cabin. But it does that before it changes the orientation of the vents. So the second you press them, you get blasted with this cold air, and you're usually turning this on at night when it's cold. You get blasted by this cold air, and then it changes the vent. So if I press them, first it hits me, and now it's changed the vents. Doesn't make sense. You have to change that. So up here we have another set of buttons. We've got this one, which like is a shortcut for the music, whether you're using radio or like music from your phone, etc. You get to that from there. Temperature controls, which also have a shortcut besides the physical button here from the screen. So the fact that there is no physical dial to like change your temperature or your fan speed in this 1 year hasn't really affected me that much, to be honest, because whenever it's really hot, I just use AC max, and whenever I need to change the fan speed, I just go in and change the fan speed. It's really not an issue. The temperature as well, I mean, you have to go to the screen to change it, but I haven't found that as an issue. Another thing some reviewers complained about, but honestly, from an owner's perspective, it's not really an issue. Navigation, it does come with maps. However, I end up using the Google Maps from Apple CarPlay, but they're there. Haven't used them much, to be honest with you, but I do use the Apple Maps a lot. Apple Maps are definitely feel a lot better. You can get to the car like settings here where you can change a few things. I don't really use this much. Everything's always on for the most part. There's a nice interior lighting in the cabin, which you're not going to see in daylight, but at night is very beautiful. You can change the color of that, and you can change the intensity of that light. If you've seen the fully charged reviews, he said he was blinded by the interior lights. Well, you can change the intensity of that light. Shortcut to the phone, so you can, if you've got your phone paired with Bluetooth or connected via the wire, you get your contacts and whatnot. This is the apps button, so if you've connected with Peugeot apps, which I haven't, or I use this for Apple CarPlay, so this is a bit of a bummer. So if you want to connect with Apple CarPlay, and I'm assuming it's the same for Android Auto, you have to connect with the cable. And you're only allowed to use the cable here. So although this car has 3 USB ports and the USB-C port, the only one that accepts the Apple CarPlay is the one closest to the driver. Fair enough. Now, Apple CarPlay does not work wirelessly, so you have to be connected. The car also has, it was an option when I bought it, I don't know if it's standard now, you have to check the wireless charger in here. which, to be fair, is a bit useless, especially if you're going to be using Apple CarPlay all the time, which I always end up doing, because you still have to connect the phone with the wire to make it work. So if I was to buy the car again, I wouldn't get the wireless charger, frankly. Also with the wireless charger, there's an iPhone 12, so quite big, the big one. It just doesn't fit, and they have changed it in this car. So it has these little notches on the side, which they have like made smaller to accommodate bigger phones, but it's still, this phone does not precisely fit, which means you have to fiddle quite a lot with it for it to start charging. So in terms of the wireless charger, no good. I would not recommend it, to be honest, especially for a big phone. If you have a smaller phone, then yeah, sure, I mean, it will probably work. But for these larger size phones, and phones aren't exactly getting any smaller, I don't think it's a great option. USB-C charger, quite nice, charges the phone faster, but doesn't make Apple CarPlay work, so you have to choose what you want to do. Gear shifter, park, reverse, neutral, drive, and the B mode. Very easy to use, very comfortable, no complaints whatsoever about that. Parking brake, electronic, found over here, very nice. When it's engaged, if it's in drive mode and I drive off, it will release it automatically. Nice feature as well. And to change your drive mode is done from over here, so you have 3 drive modes: the normal mode, the eco mode, and the sport mode. Eco mode, if I can be politically correct, obviously gives you the most amount of range, but it does make it feel like a petrol car, so the acceleration is very slow. Normal mode is what you'd normally get, and sports mode, if you want to press the gas and fly, you gotta go to sports mode. So cup holder, I guess it's okay. Armrest and the like space over here, also good. They have changed one thing, and it's in here, and it's a good thing they changed it. So in the sort of middle compartment here, they have this little thing to store coins or remotes or whatever you want to store. Now they've added 2 pieces of plastic down here which have held this. It comes off. Now what happens in my car, the older version, is you put something in, you sort of fiddling to get it out, and then you push it and it just literally falls into the compartment. They've solved this because they've put these 2 plastic things here which sort of stop you from being able to push this down. So that's a good thing. What else? I mean, this car has a front-facing camera, which is there, my guess, to recognize street signs, because it does bring up the street signs here in your dashboard. So it's going to read the road speed limit and indicate it here. It's going to tell you if you've accidentally gone through a no entry sign or something like that. So that's interesting there. What else? Another thing I don't fully understand is, as we're recording this review, the car has turned off the engine. So it was on, we had the AC running, and after 10 minutes or so it turns itself off, and you have to restart it if you want to get that AC going again. So I don't fully understand why they do that, but if you restart it, it will work nonetheless. So that's interesting there. What else? Yeah, about the front camera, I mean, I wish, rather than getting the road signs there, which is okay, you have the option to use it as a dash cam. You have the camera there. I would much prefer that being used as a dash cam than showing me road signs on the dashboard. So you do not have that option. I hope they change that in the future, because I think all cars should have dash cams for insurance purposes at least. Mirrors have proximity sensors or blind spot indicators. Amazing feature. It's a little light which lights up when it feels that there's a vehicle close to you. It has definitely saved me once during this year when I was about to change lane, look at my mirror, look over my shoulder. I did the right procedure. I start the indicator. I thought there was nobody, and suddenly the light starts to flash. And as I sort of had to do this, I suddenly see a little motorcycle sort of appear from behind this pillar, which is a bit large. So I didn't hit him frankly because of the light, because I had looked what I thought quite thoroughly, but he was very well hidden behind the side pillar. So those lights are a real saver. I'll be honest, there was another situation where they didn't work, but I spotted them, again, a motorcycle myself, so I haven't really figured it out, but at least for the time it did save that very bad scenario from happening. I'm definitely happy for those proximity sensors. I mean, the glove box kind of sucks. So with all these French cars, when they're built with the steering wheel on the right hand side, as is this one, as they drive in the UK and Malta, I believe Cyprus and other countries, for some reason they don't make the glove box bigger. So of course they're used to building the car with the steering wheel on the other side. So I guess the glove box in that version will be quite bigger because there is space here. But on this side, the glove box is very, very small. It's unfortunately small enough that the Peugeot leaflet thingy does not even fit in their own glove box. So that's a bit of a no-go. So that has to live in the side compartment of the door here. But other than that, everything's very comfortable. This material is very nice, so if you want to drive like this, very comfortable. If you want to drive like this, also very comfortable. Same with the armrest over here. But above, beyond, heated seats. Heated seats. So even in very hot Malta, the second winter comes along, you're gonna like your heated seats. So they're operated from here. It's just the front two seats, but I've learned that it's amazing. I was skeptical on heated seats. I no longer am. So get heated seats. What else? I mean, mirrors from here. I think that's it. Key fob on my car. An annoying thing, I'll be honest, I'm going to mention it. I don't know if they've solved it. I hope they solved it. The car has auto lock and unlock. And I know I'm not the only one with this problem because I've read on groups with just Peugeot owners that they're having this problem. So if you have this, the GT line, the highest end version, it means you don't need to use the key to open and lock the car, which means if I get out without pressing anything, walk away, it will lock. Amazing. Here's where it doesn't work. The lock-unlock function, when the car is plugged in to charge, unlocking the car disengages the charge. So you've plugged in the car to charge, right? It's locked, it keeps charging. If you walk closer to the car, therefore unlocking it to like look at the dashboard to make sure it's charging or something like that, it will stop the charge. So I think they really need to sort that out. If I charge at home, not really an issue because the car is unlocked anyway in that case, keys in the car. But if you're charging on the road network, it's a bit annoying because that tends to happen. What else? I think that's it really. Different style video from usual, from all the technical stuff we get into. I hope you enjoyed it, especially if you're looking into this car, the e2008 or the e208. As I said, interior is practically the same. I think the leg room and front room of this car does feel the same. What you really see different is the space in the back. So the space in the back seats obviously a lot bigger. But aside from that, speaker system is great. AC works great. Driver assist features, I mean, we don't use them at all in Malta, to be fair. So I've never had to use them yet, although they do come with the car. What is useful is the auto braking. So it's never had to auto brake my car, but it has brought up the warning multiple times. So that does work very well. It does recognize when you're driving, the car in front of you slows down rapidly or unexpectedly. I've noticed that generally happens when somebody's about to turn off a main road and they slow down. And if the car notices you're not reacting to that, it flashes a warning and there's a noise to get your attention. and the idea is that if you still don't react, then it will auto brake for you. As far as I know, though, it only does that below a certain speed. So if you're going at a higher speed, it's not going to auto brake. But I'm not sure about that, so don't quote me on that one. Yes, I think that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this very different review to normal of me rambling about this interior, which on the whole is great. There are things I think they should improve and change. They have already improved some things from, as I said, here in the armrest, etc., from the previous version. One last closing comment is the car, it does feel solid, so you do get a premium feel. Premium feel. So they have this black, very nice, shiny plastic, which does give it quite the premium feel. I've seen it on the higher end brands as well. Looks amazing for exactly 1 week. It does scratch, you do get fingerprints on it, so you have to expect that's going to happen. It's like a stainless steel sink. I've learned it only looks great before you wash your first set of dishes. Other than that, it will live scratched forever. And same unfortunately here with this material. So, but as I said, you see this here, and you see this in the higher end brands as well. So while it looks good, it's very difficult to keep clean and scratch free. So that's interesting. But above all, that's the interior of the e208 from the perspective of someone who's owned an e208 for the past year. Thanks for watching. And this was The Future is Electric.